Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the video most of you have probably been waiting for. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how I lost my mom at 16. So I guess I'm just gonna start off by saying what happened the morning that she passed away. So it was January 5th, the day that she passed away. It was the Monday I was supposed to go back to high school from winter break. New Year's Day had just passed. It was, a couple days after that. Basically, I had went to bed on the 4th and I was on FaceTime with Kyle, my boyfriend. Like normal, we FaceTimed every night before we went to bed, and typically my mom would just knock on my door and say goodnight. Through the door, she wouldn't open it or anything. She would just yell, "Goodnight, love you," and then go into her room. So on the 4th, she knocked on my door and let herself in, which was fine, but she never normally did that because she knew that I was always on FaceTime with Kyle or, at the time, Haley, my best friend. So she let herself in, and I was like in the middle of a conversation with Kyle, so I didn't stop what I was talking about. I just finished my sentence. And then I looked up at her and she was just staring at me. And I said, yes. And she said, "I just want to say that I'm very proud of you and I love you so much." And I said, "Okay, I love you." I was very confused because she never did this. This wasn't her normal nighttime goodnight. So again, I wasn't used to her doing this. She always, like I said goodnight and "I love you," but she never came into my room. So I thought it was really weird, but I guess I didn't really think much into it. So I said, "Okay, I love you too. Good night. Thanks. Whatever." So we both went to bed, and then around 4:30, my stepdad came and knocked on my door. Of course, I was asleep, so he let himself in, and then he was like frantically, he wasn't screaming, but he was frantically like panicking and like talking loud, I guess you could say. So I woke up, and I didn't say anything, obviously, because I had literally just woke up. I started to panic. He had somebody on the phone, because he had his phone on speakerphone, and he had said to me, "Your mom's not breathing, something's wrong." And I was like, "What?" And TMI, but I don't sleep with pants on. I just sleep with underwear on, so I didn't have any pants on, so I couldn't just like jump out of bed and run across the hall, because my mom's bedroom was right across the hall. So I was like, okay. I was like, "Let me put pants on." So I put pants on, and he had went back into the room. I don't remember going from my bedroom to her bedroom. I know I put on my Led Zeppelin pants that my mom bought me from Ocean State Job Lot, and I threw those on and I ran across the hall. Alright, so obviously you can tell I'm in different clothing. I totally forgot to talk about this part in the video, so I'm adding it in now. After we had gotten home from the hospital, I had asked my stepdad like what had happened. He was saying he went downstairs to smoke a cigarette and everything was fine, whatever. And when he came back upstairs, I got into bed. And then my mom started to make this like snoring sound, but my mom didn't snore, so he was kind of confused. He nudged her, I guess she stopped, and then she started again. He said that it sounded kind of like she was gurgling and like snoring at the same time. Like I don't really know how to explain it, but he said she was making a weird snoring sound and like a gurgling noise. So I guess he nudged her again and she didn't stop. So he said, "This isn't funny. If you don't stop, I'm gonna call 911. And she didn't stop, so he turned on the lights, and that's when he saw that she was kind of foaming from the mouth and things like that. So I wanted to add that in so that you guys knew that as well. It's really hard to explain to somebody who's never necessarily been through it, or to people who haven't been through it, but basically I knew that my mom had passed away, or that her soul was no longer with her. When I walked in, I just had that feeling wash over me. There's not really a way to explain it other than I just knew that she wasn't there anymore. As you guys do know, I went to Wyndham Technical High School. I was in the health technologies program, so I had learned CPR. I knew how to find pulses, things like that. So the first thing I did actually was I opened her eyes, because her eyes were closed, obviously. So I opened her eyes, and the whites of her eyes were actually yellow. I tried to find a pulse and I could not. So I checked for this pulse, I checked for these pulses, I couldn't find anything. I started CPR. The 911 operator was walking me through it, even though I kind of already knew what to do. About 5 minutes went by and I kind of started to get frustrated because I figured the ambulance should have been there by then. It was 4:30 in the morning, so we did live in a town that didn't have a 24-hour paid fire department, so it definitely did take about 20 minutes for them to get there, which was very frustrating when you're in a moment like that. But once the moment's over, you know, you do step back and you do realize, hey, these people are asleep. It's 4:30 in the morning, you know. Most normal people aren't awake at 4:30 in the morning, just sitting around waiting for things like this to happen. I kind of started to get upset with the guy on 911. He was very nice, as most of them are, and he just said, you know, they are on their way, just try to remain calm, keep doing CPR, blah, 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 blah. I continued CPR. Overall, I did CPR for about 15 minutes. I did stop a couple times in between, and these are some of the things that I figured you guys might understand a little bit better once I did this video. So the what ifs and if onlys were basically, in a time like that, as a 16-year-old, you have no idea what to do. Yeah, medically, I should be giving CPR. I don't know if anybody's ever heard the song Jesus Take the Wheel by Carrie Underwood. I'm sure you guys have, but it was kind of one of those moments, and I kind of just threw my hands up and I started talking to God. And I'm not an extremely religious person. I do believe in God. I do occasionally talk to God, but I'm not a person to pray every night, just because I don't. I wasn't raised like that, you know, and I would love to work on my faith. And definitely my faith has become a lot bigger part of my life since my mom passed away. But at the moment, or at the time, I really didn't have a connection with God or anything like that. Basically, I just threw my hands up and I said, if anyone can hear me, please help me. Please save my mom. I can't lose her. I'm not ready to lose her. I'm only 16. And I asked my grandfather, her father, I said, please don't let mom leave me yet. I'm not ready. And I can't tell you all the things I said that day because I don't remember everything that I said, but I do know that I asked for her to stay just a little bit longer. I wasn't ready to give her up yet. At that time, the 911 operator was asking me if I was still doing CPR, and I told him that no, I had stopped and I was praying, and he said, you know, do whatever you feel you need to do. He said, but as soon as you can resume CPR, please do. And I said, okay, so I wrapped it up and I continued CPR for a few more minutes. While I had stopped CPR, her lips started to turn purple and blue, and that was at the end of me raising my hand and saying, please help me. Like right after I finished talking to God, my stepdad came upstairs and he started freaking out because her lips were blue, and then of course I started freaking out because he was freaking out. And at that time, he had asked, again, the 911 operator where everybody was, when they were going to be getting there, and he said that they were en route. We heard people running in our house, which was the EMTs and things like that. They ran up the stairs, and as soon as I heard the EMTs, I pretty much backed away and kind of, again, started talking to God and just asking him, please don't let her leave me yet. I'm not ready. Even though in my subconscious mind, I knew that she was already gone. Again, because I just had that feeling. You just know. So as soon as they had gotten there, I asked them if there was anything that I could help them with. And they said no, that they had all that they needed. One of the women that did come there said that if I wanted to, I could stay and watch or try and help, but if not, that was totally okay too. So in that moment, I ran into my room and grabbed my phone. The first person I called was my dad. I called my dad, and he gets up for work around 2:30 in the morning. He starts work around 4, so I knew that he would be up. So I called him, and he answered the phone very weird because, you know, he didn't expect me to be calling him at what was probably like 5 o'clock now. And he was like, hello? And I was like, Dad, Mom's dead. And he was like, what? And I specifically remember him saying, are you dreaming? What are you talking about? And I said, no, I'm not dreaming. Something happened in her sleep and she's dead. And he was like, are you kidding me? What is going on? Are you sure? Like, are you serious? And I said, yes, Dad, I'm serious. You need to come get me now. So then I told him that I needed to go and I needed to call everybody else. So then my next phone call was to my brother, Michael. I called him and I don't know if he answered on the first call or not. I think he did. Looking back, I like hate that I did it this way, but in the moment I just kind of blurted it out, and he said, obviously because he was asleep, he was like, hello, like answered very quietly and whatever, and I just said, mom's dead. And he was like, what? And he like screamed it. And he was like, what happened? Like, what's going on? And I said, she's not breathing, something happened in her sleep, we're not sure, the EMTs are here now, but she's dead. Michael, she's not coming back, she's dead. So I hung up with him, again told him I needed to call everybody else. The next person I called was Kyle, my boyfriend, and he picked up the phone, obviously kind of the same way everybody else did, and was like, hello. And I swear to goodness, I did not even get out the words, mom's dead, before he was already waking his mom up. His mom's bedroom was upstairs, and I still do not know how he had to have gotten up as he picked up the phone and started running to her room, and I didn't even say anything yet. So I had said the same thing, mom's dead, and as I finished the sentence, he was saying, mom, I gotta go, something's wrong with Caitlin's mom, you need to bring me to her house. And so I again hung up with him. The next person I called was my oldest brother, Justin. I called his phone, no answer, so I called his phone again, no answer again. He's a very heavy sleeper. I called his girlfriend's phone, Lauren, and she picked up, and I had said, Lauren, you need to put Justin on the phone now. And she said, is everything okay? And I said, no, you need to put Justin on the phone now. And she was trying to wake him up. He wasn't waking up. I said, Lauren, mom's dead. You need to wake him up. She finally got him to wake up, and she said, here's the phone. And she handed him the phone, and I said the same thing. And he was still very asleep when I said it the first time, so he kind of I don't think he really understood what I was saying, so I said it again, and then he started like freaking out. He screamed what, and it sounded like he threw the phone. I'm assuming jumping out of bed, whatever. I think Lauren picked up the phone and said, what hospital are you going to? And I said I wasn't sure. I went back out because I was in my bedroom at this time. I went back out and they were shocking my mom's heart. They had one of the machines, I can't think of what the machine's name is or what they call the machine. But they had one of the machines where they can put the paddles and shock the heart, and they were doing that, and that kind of shocked me a little bit because I wasn't expecting to walk out and see them doing that. And every single time they shocked her heart, my stepdad would go, oh my god, because he would see the little line go up, because that's what happens, you know. And every single time he'd get excited, obviously, but I knew that that was just because they basically were sending electricity through her body, and that's what happens. Basically, I asked them what hospital they were going to. They didn't really know yet, but they were like, oh, Bacchus or Wyndham, and then they said Bacchus, and then they said, oh no, we're gonna go to Wyndham. They were going back and forth, and then I told my brother that we were going to Wyndham, and then he could just meet us there. So then I hung up with him, and I tried to call my Aunt Bert, my mom's sister. She did not answer the phone because she was working overnights. So I don't know if I called my uncle or if I texted him, my mom's brother. I can't remember, honestly, but I believe those are all the phone calls I made that morning. And then by the time that I was done with the phone calls, they were carrying my mom down on one of the stretchers. So I ran out and followed them. The neighbor was in the house at this time. She had asked me what had happened. I said I didn't know. I explained that I'd given CPR for a while and that she was dead. I had told her, you know, she's not coming back. My boyfriend had gotten to the house like as they were putting her in the ambulance, so his mom dropped him off. He came with me. We went with my neighbor. Me and my boyfriend followed the ambulance to Wyndham Hospital, and my stepdad stopped at my aunt's house because we lived like a mile apart from each other. So he stopped at my aunt's house and woke up her husband and told her husband what had happened. And when she had gotten home, her husband told her what had happened, and then they came and they met us at the hospital. When we got to the hospital, they obviously were still trying to help her. They let us into a room and sat us down and told us that as soon as they knew anything, they would let us know. We waited for about 20 minutes. Everybody was very hopeful, I guess you could say, except for me, obviously, because I just had that feeling again. As soon as I walked in, I kind of knew that she wasn't coming back. And then about 20 minutes had gotten by and they had come in and they had said the stereotypical, "We're so sorry, we tried everything and she's not coming back." So at this point, they allowed us to go in and see her. At this time, it was probably, I don't know, 5:45, 6 o'clock maybe, by the time that they allowed us to go in and see her. I was very disappointed with the way they left her for us. They could have been a lot more respectful. They did cover her with a sheet, obviously, which was fine. She had eczema on the outer part of her ear. That was all bloody, which happens. You do bleed from pretty much every spot possible. But she was bleeding from her eczema patches. She was bleeding from her nose. She had a couple of spots of blood in the inner corner of one of her eyes. And then, so they had put the tube down her throat. I can't remember what you call it, but they didn't take that out. They left it in, and you could see the blood that was still on her teeth from that. She had an IV in one of her hands, but it looks like they tried to get the IV that was in her hand in about 5 times because it was the whole top of her hand was bruised from the IV. They also had, like, at the time, it just literally looked like a bucket on the wall, and it had, like, her blood in it. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was just a bucket on the wall, hanging on the wall with blood in it. A bunch of blood. I think it was probably the suction. Like, they probably suctioned blood out, but, like, they couldn't move that. I don't know. Like, that just seems really, like, they didn't care. Like, that's just so inconsiderate to me. I really don't understand that. But we kind of all just said our goodbyes. Each of us had a few moments to do that separately if we wanted. I took probably, I don't know, 2 minutes to just kind of say goodbye in the hospital to her by myself. We all were in the room with her for a while. The doctor came in and he had asked if we wanted to do an autopsy. He said that we could if we wanted to, and my stepdad told us that he didn't have the money, so me and my 2 brothers would have to pay for it. And I was 16 and a half. My brother Michael was 23. And my brother Justin was 30, I think. So we didn't really have the money either to do it. Come to find out, actually, your insurance will cover it as your last health thing. I don't know what to call it, but I guess we know now. So we didn't get an autopsy on her. I basically just asked the doctor, you know, what do you think it is? And he said, we think it was a heart attack or an aortic aneurysm. Basically, I had just said, you know, if this was one of your family members, is that the most accurate guess that you can give us? Like, do you truly believe in your heart 100% that is what happened? And he said, yes, absolutely. I have no doubt that that is what happened. So I kind of just went with it and I said, okay, that's good enough for me. We can't afford it, and that's what it is, you know. And there's no bringing her back at that point, and we knew that, so we just didn't really exactly know what it was. But again, I was perfectly okay with him giving me his 110% honest truth and just telling us that, yes, this is what I think it was, and he was confident in saying that, so I was confident in what he was saying. So that's when we said our final goodbyes, and at that point I still had not cried, which was weird because, again, my mom just died. I did talk about this in one of my last videos. So I kind of forced myself to cry. And again, I was just in shock. I was just numb. I didn't feel anything. And I know that now. So again, we all kind of just said our goodbyes, and we had the pastor from the church that me and my mom went to at the time. We had him come in and say a little prayer over her, and then we kind of wrapped it up and we all went home. The funeral home that she was going to be going to came and got her, so we all kind of finished up and went home. Me and Kyle went back home with my stepdad, which is where I lived at the time, and we took a nap because I was exhausted. I had been up since 4:30 in the morning, and to go along with all the stressful events that took place that day. And then that is where I'm going to end this video, because the next couple of parts are going to be in a different video. So I'll be doing those a little later, but I think that's it for this video. I know it was kind of everywhere, but it's kind of hard to explain what happened that morning because I was everywhere that morning. But I did my best to explain what had happened. So I hope you guys liked this video. Please go ahead and leave it a thumbs up if you did. Comment any video suggestions that you have down below or any types of comments that you have. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and go ahead and hit the little bell next to the subscribe button so you can get notified every time I post a new video. And I will see you all on Sunday. Bye.
Alright, I think we're in the gas station.
Yeah, can you get me a ginger ale? Chester! 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 Stop!